Okay, I got a couple of quick solutions for you here. If you're ever working with an array and you're trying to randomly select things from an array, but you don't want to get duplicates inside the resulting values, or if you were trying to generate an array of random number values and you don't want to get duplicates in the ones that you're generating. So I've got a couple of quick solutions for you for those things. All right, first example here, I have an array called names with 4 names in it, and I want to loop through and write them out in a random order. So here we go. I've done it once. I got a duplicate, 2 George. And well, there we go. That's pretty quick. If I run that again, 2 Georges, 2 Georges, 2 Georges, 2 Ringos, another one where we're okay, a couple of Pauls. So you can see that fairly often you're getting duplicate values. Now, I didn't want to get duplicate values. I only wanted each name to appear one time, but in a random order. So to solve that, well, here's the standard code that was generating it before, just a for loop. I'm looping once through to the length of the array. I'm generating a random number between 0 and the last index, so between 0 and 3, and then I'm writing that out. So that's the quick and dirty code to generate just a random order, but this is the one that gives us duplicates. So it gives duplicates. There we go. Now, solution to this. We're going to create another for loop. Just like this. Same as before. Difference is that I'm going to create a variable inside here called temp names. And that is going to grab a copy of this array. So I'm going to be generating from my copy of this array. I don't want to destroy the original, so that's why I'm making a copy here. And I've hard-coded 4 because I know there's 4. I could have come in here and said len equals names.length. So that's the number of times that I want to loop. Do that. That's probably a better practice. Now I'm going to generate a random number. Same as before. So math.random, give me a number between 0 and 1, a decimal number between 0 and 1. Multiply that by, not the name's length, but I'm going to use the length of this array, this temp names. And then whatever the resulting value is, I'm going to round it down. So if this gave me a value of, say, 0. This, it would be rounded down to 0. If I got a value of 2. That, it would give me a value of 2. So it's always rounding down. If I got 3.9, this would round down to 3. So I'm getting values that are either 0, 1, 2, 3 for my random numbers, but if the length of this array changes, it means I can't get 3 anymore. I'm going to get 1, 2, or 0, 1, or 2. And then if it reduces again, I can only get 0, 1. If it reduces again, I can only get 0. So we are reducing the possibilities of what we can get if we reduce the length of this array. All right, so I've randomly created a number here. I've generated a pseudo-random number. Then I can say, hey, you know what? Write out the name that you've randomly selected for me. And now here's the new thing. I'm going to call tempNames.splice. This removes one or more elements from an array. So at position, whatever the random number is, so position 0, 1, 2, or 3, remove one thing from temp names, not the original, but from temp names. Now, when it loops again, it's checking to see, hey, you know, what's the, how many times do we have left to loop? And then checking the length of temp names, it's reduced by 1 now because we spliced 1, so it's only 0, 1, or 2. Generates another one, and then give me a random number between 0 and 1. Now give me a random number between 0 and 0. So we're always going to be reducing the number. And now when we run this, here we are, George, John, Ringo, Paul. If I run it again, and it doesn't matter how many times I run it, the order is going to be random, but the values that are in there are always going to be unique because I'm using that temporary copy of the names array. So I can do it again and again and again, and I'm always getting a random order, but I'm always guaranteed of no duplicates because once I've put a name in here, I'm removing it from the temp array. And then I generate between these three. I pick Ringo, now it's eliminated as well. So then George and John are the only ones left. I pick George. Now the only one left to pick from, even though it's random, is I have a choice between John or John. That's it. Okay, so that is how to remove duplicate values from an array. So if you've got an array and you're trying to just generate a random order and you want to write them out, this is how you solve that. All right. Now my second part of this is I have a numbers array here. So I have already some values inside of here. There's 8 values. I want to add 8 more values. And with those 8 new values, I want to make sure that none of them duplicate any of these 8. So we'll say we're going to generate values between 50 and 100. All right, I'm going to reduce this so we can look at them at the same time. So values between 50 and 100. My range of numbers, max minus min, that tells me how many numbers I'm going to generate. Or not how many numbers, sorry, the difference between the min and the max. Then when you want to generate the random number, you take math.random times your range, round that down, and you add the min number, and that is going to give you a random number between these two. Okay, so if I were to just take the simple route, go through a loop 8 times, I can use 0 to 9, I can use 1 to 10, different ways that we can do this for the counting, but I want to add 8. I'm adding one random number each time in the range of 50 to 100, and then I'm going to write it out in a sorted way. So let's clear that out, run this, expand it a little bit, there we go. So we can see each time through the array got longer by 1, but I am getting duplicates. So you can see right here I got an extra 88 got added into this array. We come down a little further, there's an extra 93 got added, so we get duplicate 93s. I've got duplicate 97s being added here. I've got duplicate 96s being added here. So quite a few duplicates being added for just that handful of times that we loop through. So we want to solve this. We want to add things to the array, but we want to make sure that there's no duplicates for these values in that array. Now, instead of a for loop, I'm going to use a while loop, and I'm going to check if nums.length is less than 18. Or, let's see, we've got 8 here, we're adding 8 more, so that'll be 16. So as long as it's less than 17, there we go. That's going to be adding 8 more numbers. Now, I'm going to be adding a new number each time. That's going to change this length. We will do the same calculation for the random number. There's our brand new number. Now before we were just doing nums.push. We still need to do this, and we're still going to write it out if we add something to it. But I want to check to make sure that this number doesn't already exist inside of here. So if nums.includes R&D. So this is asking, hey, does this random number exist inside of here. And I want to know if it doesn't exist. So I put the bang character in front of here. This does the reverse of that. It says, okay, if it doesn't exist, then this is what I'm going to do. If it does, then I'm just going to write out a little message about skipped duplicate, just so we see that it's happening. Okay. And there we are. We had 2 extra times going through the loop. So instead of it being 8, I actually got 10. There was 2 extra times that it had to loop, but on those times it didn't add anything to the array. So if we look down here at the bottom, there are no duplicate values anywhere in this array. So just a slightly different approach, but still using the same random number generation, still using the same push command to put it into the array. It's just we need to check. And this is the quickest way to check if this number exists inside of this array. All right, hope that helps you out. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments.